different Tacoma grades. Now, technically, Toyota has positioned the TRD Pro at the top. The major distinction and difference between the TRD Pro and the Trail Hunter, that the TRD Pro is for like Baja racing, a little bit faster, right? It's a faster pace kind of off-roading. That's why it has the 2.5-inch Fox shocks. All right, so that's going to be a little different on this. We'll get to that in a minute. So the Trail Hunter is essentially an overlanding rig built right from the factory from Toyota. A lot of enthusiasts get their Tacomas or their Toyotas, especially the Tacoma, because in my opinion, the Tacoma is the one Toyota vehicle that has the most customizations, right? We have 200 accessories for the Tacoma alone, and there's 300 different configurations. That being said, for the majority of people that buy and run this truck, right out of the factory, it's already good to go, okay? It's gonna have a 2-inch lift in the front and an 2.5 inches in the front, 1.5 inch in the rear, just like the TRD Pro, right from the factory. The difference with this suspension in the front is it's using 2.5-inch Old Man Emu shocks. All right, those have remote piggyback reservoirs, so you can kind of dial in the suspension. And as we go around it, you'll notice there's a lot of things that were integrated from Australian company ARB, right? So the first thing you'll notice is that we do a lot of stuff with it. Okay, so let me pop the hood real quickly and just get into the powertrain because this is new. And personally, from my experience, a lot of people have come up to me and been like, hey, you know, I'm really interested in getting a new Tacoma, but I'm a little hesitant because it has a 4-cylinder. It doesn't have the V6 anymore. Well, here's the fun fact for you. So all these Tacomas are going to be turbocharged, right? So you have your standard 2.4 liter turbo I-Force engine. That's going to produce 278 horsepower. The reason this is important is because the old V6 had 278 horsepower. You're not losing any horsepower, okay? What has changed is the torque. So this has 317 pound-feet of torque. Now, why this is significant, it's about 20% or approximately 19.6% more torque. So you're getting the same horsepower output that we had in the V6 out of this 4. You're getting about 20% more torque, and you're getting better fuel economy. All right, so your combined fuel economy in this is around 23 miles per gallon. So everything went up. So that is the only negative thing that I've heard is people are like, oh, you don't have a V6 anymore. But we have more power, more fuel economy, and more torque. So in my opinion, that's better because you're gonna get more out of your truck, and it's a great fuel engine. So we're gonna stay in the front. So as you can see, we went with the Heritage Grille. This is an homage, one of my favorites when it actually spells out Toyota. And then you'll see we have rigid lights. You'll see we partnered and we have a lot of rigid lights. Now on the Trail Hunter, these can turn from amber to white. The TRD Pro is just gonna be white. So kind of another cool little accessory here. You can see here we have this skid plate, which is higher off the ground. The front bumper. And then we also have skid plates running from the front, the middle, which covers the transmission, and then the rear to protect the rear differential. So the skid plates actually go entire along the vehicle underneath. And then here you'll see that we have the rock rails built in as well. So everything we built on this vehicle is designed to really handle off-roading and overlanding, including these 18-inch alloy wheels, and then with a 33-inch tires, right? So again, you can see this is all completely set up for off-roading and overlanding. Now, speaking of overlanding, another ARB feature, we have this sport bar back here, and you'll notice that we have these detachable MOLLE panels, okay? So the MOLLE panels are gonna be great to basically, you can put on traction boards or whatever gear you see fit. Everyone's adventure is gonna be a little different when it comes to off-roading as well as overlanding. So that's kind of whatever you want to configure your Tacoma to be. It's just like building a taco at a salad bar, taco bar, right? We're not all gonna build the same taco. This taco is hot. Yes, this is a hot taco. I call it the tail hunter. Okay. Now you'll see we also have these built-in lights back in the bed lights for another aesthetic piece. And again, it just adds a little bit of that illumination. So a pretty cool feature. You've probably heard of the rear bump switches. Just like the Tundra, the only difference is we have one in the left and the right side, so both the driver and the passenger. Now the other thing that we took this step further, not only does it go down and up, and then it's powered, but say you have your hands full and you got a bunch of gear and you want to close it, you just bump it with your knee and that's going to close automatically. So Toyota really went the extra mile to think of all the things that you might need. Again, ARB, we have this steel bumper right back here, and it has the ARB safety hooks. So you see again, we did a lot of things working with ARB to kind of help the vehicle to be a little bit tougher than ever. A couple other things to point out in here. You'll see this one has a 2400 watt. That right there tells me that this is an I-Force Max. You have to have the I-Force Max with with a turbocharged hybrid system, and that is class leading for a mid-sized truck, right? So that's the first in the class, 2,400 watt output. Now, unfortunately, let's see if this is on there. So this has an in-bed air compressor. Now, the Trail Hunter is the only trim that's going to have this, which is really cool because let's say you're overlanding, you're off-roading, you can let some air out of your tires for certain situations. How are you going to repressurize them? How are you going to inflate the tires? Well, the Trail Hunter literally has an in-bed air compressor built right on there for that feature exactly. So that's one of my favorite features.
The TRD Pro doesn't have that?
Correct. So actually, the TRD Pro and the off-road are going to have a power port. So it's going to have a 12-volt power and then 2 USB-Cs. So this is standard just to the Trail Hunter.
How high can that compressor go, PS9 wise?
That I honestly don't know. I'd have to look through. I don't know off the top. So obviously here you'll see because this one is a hybrid, you don't have the storage under the seats. So if this was a hybrid version, I can show you that. Keep that in mind. And then over here we have the air intake. So what's great about having like a desert air intake is a lot of times off-roading, you're gonna get a lot of dirty air, kicking up dirt, mud, dust. Well, this is gonna breathe cleaner air. So it's gonna pull air from up here, which is gonna be a lot gentler, a lot more gentle on the engine, right? So you're gonna get your cleaner air with that. So going back to the engine real quickly.
How much does that help with fueling?
I believe it would still have an impact because even like on the FJs and some of the Forerunners I've seen outfitted, I mean, it's for clean air. I can't speak specifically to Ford. I haven't taken this thing in the stream myself, but I would imagine that again because the whole point of this is pulling air up there. So I'd imagine in the same scenario, it's going to give you a little bit of a better.
It's also good for water.
Yeah, that's what he was asking. He was asking about water.
It's cool with the plug at the beach. So.
Yes. Well, and again, that's the thing. Like, look, the reality is, some people that buy these trucks are not going to actually do what they're capable of, but they look badass. And Toyota literally marketed this as a badass adventure machine. You know, and I don't know anyone that could look at this and just not like, that's a badass truck, regardless of whether or not you're using it for what it's capable of. It is a very mean, rugged-looking truck, and that's the other thing. This fourth gen, you notice the body lines. It's very chiseled. It's very rugged-looking. It has kind of that bulldog stance, and it just looks tough. Now I did close this, but real quickly, something to point out: with a hybrid version, it has 326 horsepower and 465 pound-feet of torque. So again, that's class-leading in the torque. So then, if we go in the interior, point out some cool stuff inside. So, I'm going to come over here and open the doors where we go. So one of my favorite things, JBL Flex speaker. This is a portable JBL Flex speaker, right? What's really cool about this is it charges, when it's charged up, it lasts for about 6 hours. It is water resistant for up to 3 feet in water, dust proof. And if you have a bunch of buddies out, you're out off-roading or overlanding, you can actually link these all together and have multiple speakers for a better tailgating experience. You'll also notice we have the largest touchscreen monitor available in the Toyota lineup. This is 14 inches. When you go out on the off-road course, you'll be able to experience that with a 3D multi-terrain monitor, which is going to access the cameras on the left and the right side of the vehicle, as well as the front and the back and the rear, so you can really see what terrain. That's going to allow you to just focus on driving, keep your hands on the wheel, and really kind of focus on the journey while giving you all of that data points. Now, obviously, you don't see a sunroof on this one, but what you do see over here is we have a pre-wired auxiliary panel with 3 different switches for off-road accessories. We also have a new and quieter crawl control system, so it's smoother, quieter. Yeah. You'll see this, yeah, and again, it's very rugged. You'll see even interior, you have this kind of volley panel looking designs with the JBL speakers. Again, just giving the vehicle more of a kind of a rugged off-road look. Even up here, you got 2 USB-Cs here. You got your Qi wireless charger right here. Got a little bit of storage here, and then again, if you're familiar with crawl control and you've driven it in the previous generation Tacomas, sometimes it can be a little loud, and you're like, oh, am I doing this right? Am I braking the truck? You're not going to hear almost anything when you're out there. You're going to see it's smoother, it's quieter. The multi-terrain select now works at 4 high as well as 4 low, and of course we have the downhill assist control. And then if you have a manual version, we also have the clutch start cancel, which allows you to start the vehicle without the clutch. One more thing in here to point out, or actually a couple things. We have our stabby bar, which is a Toyota first ever, is on the Tacoma. It's also on the Land Cruiser. That is a front stabilizer bar disconnect mechanism, and when that is engaged and disconnected, it gives you about 10% more articulation than the third generation Tacoma. Great for off-roading. And then right next to it is our rear locking differential, so you're going to experience that as well. And then of course we have the trailer backup, and then we have a panoramic view, so you can really kind of change the views around the vehicle. Make sure I missed anything. All right, let's do a few Easter eggs. So,
Easter egg.
Oh.
Trying to make this, wrap this up so you guys aren't dying in the heat. So a couple of cool things. These are really neat. So a couple of things to notice. So obviously this is a Tacoma, right? Now right here, there are some coordinates on the left headlight mount. You're probably wondering, well, what is this? Well, that is actually the coordinates for Mount Rainier in the Tacoma mountain range. Now over here on the right headlight mount, you'll see literally a Tacoma driving over a taco. This is one of my favorite things. I just think it's funny. And then, here, let me shut this so you get a better view of this one. And then this might not be new to y'all. You probably know this. Everyone's clear? Just like all our 5 brothers, right here in Morse code, it says badass trucks, okay? You're gonna find that in the Tundra, the Tacoma, the Sequoia, the Land Cruiser, and then the 4Runner. But you'll notice on the Tacoma, it also shows the Tacoma mountain ranges right there. Now going over here, there's a secret stash spot that is hidden between the driver's door and on the left side of the steering column. You pop it out, and you're gonna notice more Morse code. This Morse code literally says accessory ready, and if you flip it around, there's a QR code. If you scan this QR code, it will take you to a top secret website for Tacoma owners where you can learn more about your taco and then also order accessories. You can actually order a part that clips in there, and then it has a Toyota disc that locks into place, but you could also just use this. Now, if this were not a gas and it had storage under here, you'd be able to lift this up and you would see a bunch of Tacoma trucks kind of running along the inside of the storage as well. So a couple cool Easter eggs. And then last but not least, this one's going to be hard to see. But right here, these are TRD upper control arms. There's one on the left and the rear, okay? Now if you look really closely and see if you can see it over here, right here. So I just kind of moved the dust away. This is the state of North Carolina. All right, so North Carolina is where we actually designed the TRD upper control arms. And then if you come over to the passenger side in the same location, you'll see the state of California. And that's because our TRD facility in Costa Mesa, California is where we actually machine these TRD upper control arms.
So a lot of Easter eggs. I don't remember which another car got a lot of Easter eggs. Maybe